You know, food is very essential for our well-being. These and more on Guest Chef, showing on the network service of the NTA. Join us.
NTA Language.
Jama'a masu kallon labaran NTA Hausa barkanmu da warhaka. Ni ne.
Ekukale lode yin wise kudede.
Igbo murum kachano.
Broadcasted in the language you understand better. Our programs. Transmitting on the Star Times platform 24 hours.
Àwọn onímọ̀ nípa ètò ẹ̀kọ́ lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà.
Hukumar tara kudaden haraji ta ƙasa.
Alani na ọchịchị mba United Arab Emirates UAE.
The only channel that speaks your language.
Anyị ga-eweta akụkọ gbasara ọrịa ahụ nke wakporo obodo anyị.
Kálejì, mo kọ́kùnrin, mo kóbìnrin, mo kí ọmọdé, mo sì kí àgbàlagbà.
Mu ci gaba da yi ma rundunar sojin ƙasar nan addu'a.
Ẹkúlé yìí tèmi ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò wa ètò yín ètò obìnrin tó dángájá.
Waye fi cancanta a ɗauka a matsayin ɗan aikin cikin gida.
Jama'a
masu kallon tashar NTA Hausa barkamu da warhaka.
Kí ni ayẹyẹ ọdún iléyá tá máa ń ṣe lọ́dọọdún yìí rọ̀ mọ́?
NTA, you can't beat the rich. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
The bill seeks to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation the total sum of 7,298 billion.
National Assembly begins consideration of the 2017 appropriation bill.
Renomination of Mr. Ibrahim Magu Mustafa as Executive Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
President Buhari represents Ibrahim Magu to the Senate for confirmation as EFCC Chairman. Plus, a former National Security Advisor rearraigned before FCT High Court. Welcome to NTA Network News with me, Muhammad Kudu Abubakar. President Muhammad Buhari has represented to the Senate name of Ibrahim Magu Mustafa for confirmation as Executive Chairman of the EFCC. National Assembly correspondent Wazir Zayano reports on these and other proceedings at Tuesday's plenary.
Twice last year, the Senate postponed from its order paper slated confirmation of Ibrahim Magu as substantive executive chairman of the AFCC. It eventually rejected the nomination on grounds of security reports. After an extended executive session on Tuesday, Senate President Bukola Saraki read the letter renominating Ibrahim Magu by President Muhammadu Buhari.
I took administrative steps within the executive arm of government to ensure the speedy clarification of issues relied upon by the Senate in arriving at his decision.
In another letter to the President of the Senate, President Muhammadu Buhari also addressed alleged misconduct by the Secretary to Government of the Federation, Babachir Lawal. The letter stated that the SGF and companies indicted by the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on Mounting Humanitarian Crisis in the Northeast have not been given fair hearing.
I have also conducted further investigation based on Engineer Lawal's response to the allegations and issues raised in the Senate's resolution.
Leading debate on the Appropriation Bill 2017 at the plenary, Senate leader Ahmad Lawal said the 2017 budget is designed to resuscitate industries, commerce and investment, as well as address youth unemployment.
The increased capital expenditure outlay of the 2017 Appropriation Bill is deliberately structured to improve and effectively address critical areas of the economy, as well as this administration's determination to reflect and pull the economy out of recession.
Also commendable is the unprecedented allocation of the sum of 100 billion to the Judicial, because no government in the past has ever allocated such an amount to the Judicial.
The issue of the oil production output of 2.2 million barrels per day, that is appropriate, and we do believe that with some of the measures that are being taken right now in that sector, the activities of the militants in the Niger Delta could be curtailed.
At the borrowing level, we are still below 3% of GDP as far as the figures are concerned. And this is in order, making sure that we do not blow borrowing overboard in such a manner that future payments and servicing of debt will swallow the revenue completely.
In the meantime, a report of the Senate Public Account Committee on the status of compliance of parastatals' submission of audited account has been laid before the Senate for further legislative action. Chairman of the committee, Andy Uba, said of the 473 agencies existing, only 21 fully complied.
We have those that have not submitted since inception, those in arrears from 11 years and above, those in arrears between 6 and 10 years. The people that are fully complied, we have about 21 parastatals, including NTA is one of those that have complied.
The committee urged the Senate to withhold budgetary allocation to any of the parastatals with arrears of 3 years and above. From the National Assembly, Waziri Zayan, NTA News.
The House of Representatives has commenced debate on the general principles of the 2017 Appropriation Bill, recently presented to a joint session of the National Assembly by President Muhammadu Buhari on the 14th of December 2016. This followed its passage through second reading on the floor of the House. National Assembly correspondent Dennis Adeguloyi reports.
Leader of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, moved that the bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation the total sum of 7,298,507,709,937 naira for the year ending on 31st December 2017 be read a second time, after which he lauded President Muhammadu Buhari, saying that the expectation is a better budget performance as against previous budgets.
This budget really indeed is a budget of recovery and a budget of growth. A budget that we should sit down, go through it with a fine-tooth comb when we get to the committee level. But based on the general principles that have been enunciated here, based on what has gone into it, the work that has gone into it, the professionalism, I believe, Mr. Speaker, this is a budget that is worth considering, is worth passing. It is a money bill.
Members analysed the merits and demerits of the appropriation bill, some calling for a need for synergy between fiscal and monetary agencies of government, as well as internally generated revenue to be looked at critically, especially government-owned agencies.
How we are going to protect our sources of revenue is very crucial.
Coming from an economic slowdown in 2016, I think this 2017 budget that is tagged budget of economic recovery and growth is very apt. This is because government is trying to articulate a policy to ensure that this time around there should be optimization use of local content policy and empowerment of local businesses.
The time for the execution of 2016 budget is still on. I want to call clearly, Mr. Speaker, that we should look very critically at what will affect the life of the consumer on the street. Because the rate of inflation now starts at 18.5%.
A bill for an act to amend the National Industrial Court Act to provide that appeals shall lie from the decisions of the National Industrial Court to the Court of Appeal, and an act to amend the Court of Appeal Act to establish a labour division of the court to hear appeals from the National Industrial Court, sponsored by Representative Aminu Shehu Shagari from Sokoto State, passed second reading. There were 4 motions, including the urgent need to investigate the abandonment of rehabilitation works on Ishei Okeho Road, moved by Representative Olasupo Abiodun Adiola from Oyo State, and a call to congratulate Larry Ekundayo on his heroics in boxing, moved by Representative Rita Oji from Lagos State.
He has utilized this talent to bring glory to Nigeria on 3 occasions.
I want to join this house to congratulate this young man and to say, as we work together, to see how we can bring the next world, champion, that is boxing champion, to Nigeria.
Those in favor of the motion as amended say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it.
An urgent need to avert the impending strike action at the National Insurance Commission, NICOM, was also moved by Representative Mark Willa from Benue State. From the National Assembly, Dennis Adegunloye, NTA News.
The House Ad Hoc Committee on Review of the Petroleum Pump Price is seeking justification for the 145 naira price, and also seeks to find out if Nigerians are getting value for their products. National Assembly correspondent Ifeanyi Ezumba reports on the public hearing on the issue.
Among those in attendance were officials of the PPPRA, NNPC, the NPA, and the Major Marketers Association of Nigeria. The committee is interested in determining the transparency in the price-fixing process. Deputy Minority Leader, who stood in for the Speaker, said the agencies must ensure availability and affordability of petroleum products for Nigerians.
We in the House of Representatives are concerned with the arbitrary increases in the pump price of petrol by the regulatory authorities without adequate consultation with relevant stakeholders.
Our business here is to justify every kobo on the structure, on the template that is being collected. Whether, yes, Nigerians are getting value for their money.
Executive Secretary, PPPRA, Victor Shidak, said the administrative charges pay for the services of certified cargo inspectors who are engaged by the agency.
Though subsidy removed, but PPRA need actually to further strengthen its operations, and thus the need for the continuation of the collection of that mischarge.
Other contributions from stakeholders.
If we do the STS here locally, any revenue going to a foreign government will definitely come to Nigeria.
Chairman of the committee, Raphael Iwokwe, stressed that they will ensure that the subsidy fraud, which has been cut off, will not migrate into other areas of petroleum management distribution chain. From the National Assembly, Ifeanyi Ezumba, NT News.
Report just coming in from the presidential villa says a handbook on nationwide micro, small and medium enterprises clinics for viable enterprises has been launched by the acting president, Yemi Osinbajo. The handbook is aimed at proffering solutions to most of the problems being confronted by business operators in Nigeria. State House correspondent Jide Onifade has the report.
The Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic, as explained by the acting president, is in furtherance of efforts at ensuring easy ways of doing business in the country. Acting President Yemi Osinbajo, who had toured some exhibitions organized for SMEs recently, says he and the president were taken aback by the level of complaints about the difficulties business operators are facing from various regulatory agencies.
Because it means that our agencies were yet to buy into a major pillar of our economic recovery plan, which is to make it easier to do business in Nigeria. There's also an indication that we needed to do something to change the orientation of our various agencies. Instead of being merely revenue-generating agencies, the various agencies must see themselves as facilitators of business first. An agency of government that is meant to grant approvals for business must see itself first and foremost as a facilitator of business. The moment we lose sight of that as being our primary objective, then we've lost the focus completely. then we're no longer active participants in the economic plans and growth of the nation. We have set ourselves up as something else. We've become obstacles.
The project is designed to be a series of clinic workshops to be held in cities across the country.
So much in terms of bottlenecks. So, like Mr. Vice President said, they should see themselves as enablers and facilitators of small businesses in Nigeria rather than obstacles. And I think this clinic is designed to solve that problem, and we are highly expectant.
We found out that a lot of the institutions are largely held back by bureaucracy and has not allowed the impact of really setting them together to be felt. So this is going to be a platform to articulate all into a working platform that would serve entrepreneurs in a lot more better platform.
The handbook is aimed at enhancing service delivery of the federal government by bridging the information gap and taking government initiatives to the doorstep of those who really need them. And the handbook contains solutions to most of the problems, names and addresses of most of the agencies in the country relevant to the SMEs. From the banquet hall of the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
The Central Bank of Nigeria Monetary Policy Committee rose from its first meeting in 2017 to announce the retention of the benchmark lending rate MPR at 14% in order to sustain progress being made towards revamping the economy. Governor, Central Bank of Nigeria, Gordon Emefiele, who announced this at the media conference after a two-day meeting, says early passage of the 2017 budget and public-private partnership will remain key to economic growth. Finance and economic correspondent Cliff Ayoze reports.
Retain MPR at 14%, retain the CRR at 22.5%, retain the liquidity ratio at 30%, and retain the asymmetric corridor at plus 200 and minus 500 basis points around the MPR.
The committee says the position was taken to sustain the economic growth trajectory, having reassessed the headwinds in 2016 and opportunities in 2017 globally and nationally. The Central Bank of Nigeria governor, who debunks the existence of multiple exchange rates, says the foreign exchange rate remains stable during the period under review, and stated that monetary policies are already imparting the Nigeria's foreign reserves, which is at about $29 billion currently. On the inflation rate at above 18%, the CBN boss says current priorities placed on agriculture as a major driver of growth at 4.4% will soon moderate consumer prices and reduce the current inflationary rate.
Committee further noted that inflationary pressures will begin to subside as non-oil output recovers and Naira exchange rate stabilizes.
The Monetary Policy Committee harped on the need for more inward-looking and synergy between fiscal and monetary authorities. The governor says the Central Bank of Nigeria has already commenced the distribution of 50 billion naira set aside to support the revival of textile industry, while
Minister of Transportation, Chibuike Amechi, says it's aimed at increasing the capacity of the railway system across the country. Oyinaya Kalu Oka has the report.
The Lagos to Kano, Fontua and Nguru, as well as from Port Harcourt to Borno, aging passenger and freight railway system built before independence are some of the narrow gauge expected to be overhauled after the negotiation.
We're saying that, okay, between now and when that will happen, can they revive the 25 coaches that we have to get it to work and work efficiently? The locomotives, not coaches, the locomotives.
Minister of Transportation, Chibuike Amechi, said the cost of the overhauling, which was $2 billion, will be re-evaluated.
Initially, we had said $2 billion, but now we can't say whether it's $2 billion or above. We can't say, we don't know until we finish negotiation.
To increase the frequency of trips from Abuja to Kaduna, new coaches are expected in the next 2 months.
Before the end of first quarter, we think we'll be able to get more coaches and we'll increase the frequency.
The bidding U.S. company is proposing a 2-year rehabilitation of the rail tracks and to have a concession period of 25 years within which to recover their investments. Oyinaya Kalu Oka, NTA News.
Chief Judge of the Federal Capital Territory High Court, Justice Ishaq Bello, has warned telecommunication service providers to desist from turning the phones of their customers into billboards for unsolicited advertisements. This was part of his judgment in a case that was brought against MTN for illegal deductions through unsolicited caller tunes. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okewo reports.
A lawyer, Ezugu Emmanuel Aneni, in October 2014 dragged the MTN telecommunications service provider to court for illegal deductions for unsolicited caller tunes. The court action came after various correspondences between the plaintiff and the service provider, during which the court established in evidence that MTN, in one of its letters to the plaintiff, admitted to the deduction as payment for the unsolicited caller tunes, but went ahead to send what it called 700 naira bonus to the plaintiff for his 8 years patronage after he complained. Chief Judge of the FCT, Justice Ishak Bello, in his judgment said the 700 naira bonus did not amount to a compensation for the breach of the plaintiff's quiet enjoyment. The court then ordered MTN to pay a 5 million naira damage for disrupting the peace of the customer through the unsolicited caller tunes and deduction, with a 500,000 naira cost for the case. Justice Ishak Bello also ordered for such extortions to stop forthwith, while warning service providers not to impose adverts and unsolicited services on their customers.
We wanted more, but it doesn't matter how much is awarded. What is important is that we have proved our case, and they are put on injunction to refrain from further unlawful deductions.
Most likely we would have to appeal it. Most likely we would appeal.
In law, matters like these are classified as public interest litigation. This is because not many people would wish to take up a 50 naira deduction in court, just as a lot of people would also think that taking up a legal battle against a big multinational like MTN is a futile step. This judgment will go a long way in standing in the stead for people like that. From the FCT High Court, Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
Former National Security Advisor Colonel Samba Dasuki has been rearraigned before an FCT High Court. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okeowo explains that this is a first step towards consolidating his trial. The report.
Colonel Sambo Dasuki has been standing trial before 3 courts on the alleged misappropriation of arms funds under the last administration. One of the matters being prosecuted by the DSS is before the Federal High Court in Abuja, while the 2 others are before the FCT High Court. Both of them prosecuted by the EFCC before 2 different judges. It is these 2 cases that are now being brought together before Justice Baba Yusuf of the FCT High Court, where on Tuesday a 16-count charge which were pending before Justice Asen were again read to Colonel Sambo Dasuki, all of which he pleaded not guilty to.
In law, since the judge in Court 4 is just becoming aware of that, there has to be a rearrangement, and that was what took place today. So the charges are still the same.
I applied to the court that his bail should not be granted as a matter of course because of the court does nothing in vain, and that there is no point granting a bail that since he's in detention. So, but the court say otherwise and granted him bail again.
With the bail condition now affirmed at Tuesday's hearing, full trial will now commence, at least for the matters before Justice Baba Yusuf. In Abuja, Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
218 families of soldiers injured or killed in action have been presented checks from insurance companies. Minister of Defense Mansour Ali says the gesture is a policy geared towards sustaining the welfare of military personnel and their dependents. Defense correspondent Isaac Nkuma has details.
They are the next of kin of some of the nation's fallen heroes, as well as officers and men of the military who have suffered various forms of disability from injuries sustained in the line of duty. Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Defense, Ambassador Danjuma Sheni, says in the period under review, life insurance claims of 601 affected soldiers was prepared, with 383 fully paid and 218 others to receive checks in this exercise. Minister of Defense Mansour Ali revealed that life insurance claims paid over the years have grown tremendously as a result of heightened activities of insurgents in the northeast and continued militancy in the Niger Delta, especially between 2015 and 2016.
The military has what we call personal and armed forces group life insurance. And this has nothing to do with the pension. It's a yearly event that an insurance company is taken to cater for the immediate family or next of kin. It depends on how many years of service.
He, however, expressed optimism that with the success recorded in the fight against insurgency, fewer casualties will be recorded in the years to come. The minister also received a group known as the Best for Everybody organization, which promotes religious tolerance, peaceful coexistence, and a disciplined society.
Send this message to our followers, send it to your community, and send it to every individual and all Nigerians that the unity of this country is paramount to all of us. We need each other.
Nigeria is going to remain united, indivisible country. All those who are agitating for the division of this country will not succeed, because the Nigerians have already come of age. They are mature now.
The group commended the gallantry of the armed forces in fighting Boko Haram and urged the federal government to see to the resettlement of internally displaced persons in the shortest possible time. In Abuja, Isaac Nkuma, NTA News.
The federal government will not do anything to stifle press freedom because it is keenly aware that a free press is vital to the success of any democracy. The Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, who said this in a statement, says the federal government has nothing to do with the recent arrest of Mr. Dakpo Olorunyomi, publisher of the online newspaper Premium Times, and a reporter working for the paper, Ms. Evelyn Okaku. The minister said the whole issue of the journalist's arrest is purely a private affair involving a citizen and a privately owned newspaper, and wondered how that could now be construed as an attempt by the government to intimidate the press. He assured Nigerians that the federal government has no immediate or long-term plan to stifle press freedom. Neither will the social media be regulated, nor have its operations tampered with. Meanwhile, the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, has directed the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, to investigate the circumstances surrounding the reported shooting in South Africa of the ongoing Big Brother Nigeria reality show. In a statement in Abuja on Tuesday, the minister said the NBC should determine whether MultiChoice, by shooting the show in South Africa, has breached the Nigerian Broadcasting Code in any way, as well as the issue of possible deceit, since the viewing public was never told that the event will be staged outside Nigeria. Alhaji Mohammed, according to a statement by Shegun Adeyemi, Special Assistant to the Minister, said concerned Nigerians have bombarded his office with calls to complain about what they regard as an anomaly. He therefore advised all persons to remain calm while the NBC investigates the matter. Ondo State Governor-elect Mr. Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, SAN, has alerted the public about the activities of some unscrupulous persons soliciting for financial support and monetary contributions towards his inauguration ceremonies on February the 24th this year. In a statement, the Ondo State Governor-elect noted that highly placed Nigerians, both in the public and private sectors within and outside the country, are being contacted by these elements. Mr. Akeredolu described their conduct as a blatant lie, fraud, impersonation, and obtaining under false pretense. The governor-elect therefore urged the public to ignore such requests and advised that such cases be reported to the police for investigation, possible arrest, and prosecution. You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Up ahead, members of the boards of river basin authorities challenged on food sufficiency. Details after these messages. Don't go away.
From what we have seen, we have the capacity which we can rapidly develop of feeding ourselves. If we don't import rice, we stop importing corn and other grains, Nigeria will have plenty of money to invest into developing industries, especially manufacturing, textiles and so on, and develop iron and steel, and complement the infrastructure development. So really, the opportunities are virtually limitless, and we are very, very aware of this, and we are prepared to exploit it to the fullest.
Hello? Welcome to the M6 Challenge. Using your new Gioni M6, carry out everything on that list. Starting now. Get to the door. Congratulations, you have passed the test. Gioni M6 with a 5,000 milliampere battery that lets you go on for 2 days on a single charge. Gioni M6, always in power.
Our River State don't reach 50 years. Yo, make we celebrate. From 1967 to 2017. Yo, make we celebrate.
The chairman and members of the River State Golden Jubilee Anniversary Committee cordially invite the public to the official unveiling of the River State Golden Jubilee Anniversary logo by the Governor of River State, His Excellency Yesum Ezewanwike, CON. Date: Wednesday, 25th January 2017. Venue: Dr. Obiwali International Conference Center, Port Harcourt. Time: 10 a.m. This event will be followed by World Press Conference by the Golden Jubilee Committee. Announcer: Professor Joseph Ajenka, Chairman, Media and Publicity Subcommittee.
Can you all me do this?
Can your milk do this?
Love is sweet tea, love is a muppet. Love is boiled sweet stuck to your pockets. Love is a kiss when you
Can your milk do this?
Can your milk do this? Mine can.
With Hollandia evaporated milk, your cereals, oats, smoothies, custards, ice cream, and variation of beverages taste pleasantly different. Hollandia evaporated milk. Life tastes different.
From the House of Chi.
The Future Assured project and its components Get Involved, initiated by the wife of the President, Her Excellency Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, is not relenting in championing the cause of Nigerian women and children. Its provision of free medical screening, educational support, and the fight against malnutrition, especially in the Northeast, has indeed informed international recognition, partnerships, and awards.
We are very grateful and appreciative for your wonderful gesture you have afforded to us.
With Future Assured, Nigerian women and children are assured of a bright future.
Future is assured when we join hands to promote the health of our women and children. Get involved.
Get involved and support the Future Assured initiative. Future Assured, promoting and protecting the lives of Nigerian women and children.
The federal government's social investment program has begun. The poorest and most vulnerable in the land get 5,000 naira monthly, and phase 1 has started in 9 states of the federation. 200,000 unemployed graduates have been engaged in the NPower Volunteer Corps, designed to engage 500,000 people. 5.5 million children will be fed regularly in the homegrown school feeding program, which kicked off in 3 states last year, with 9 more to be added this year. And under the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, GEEP, thousands of cooperatives, market women, farmers, and enterprising youth have been receiving between 10,000 and 100,000 naira soft loans since November 2016. The Social Investment Program has begun. It can only get better. We promise change. Change is here.
The federal government is walking the talk in the resolve to reposition the river basin development authorities towards ensuring food sufficiency in the country. To this end, the Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, has inaugurated the management teams of the 12 river basin development authorities in Abuja. Correspondent Musbao Danwahab reports.
The search for the lost glory of the river basin development authorities continues. Seemingly, these are the change agents identified and approved by President Buhari to revitalize and change the fortunes of the RBDAs in line with the diversification agenda. Water Resources Minister was point blank in giving a marching order of redirection to the new management teams.
The new management team of the River Basin Development Authorities are now tasked to turn around the performance of the agencies to become more efficient in the delivery of established mandates.
Apart from provision of sustainable access to safe and sufficient water for multi-purpose use, control of floods and erosion, the RBDAs with the dams in their custody are needed to support agriculture through provision of water for irrigation. Another task added on is to ensure the success of government partnership with Songhai farms to empower youth graduates through agriculture on the platform of the basins. The new management teams are aware of the challenges and they say they are ready to key into the renewed vigor of the government to revamp the sector.
We have seen a new drive, a new passion that maybe you haven't seen before. And we want to tell you that we are burning with that fire.
Meanwhile, process towards partial and eventual full commercialization of the RBDAs is still ongoing. In Abuja, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
The federal government is set to receive first consignment of tons of fertilizer from the Kingdom of Morocco based on the agreement between Nigeria and that country. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Audu Ogbe, says the input are expected in Nigeria this week. Musa Baba Aliu reports.
Inputs, especially fertilizer, are essential for satisfactory crop production and critical to agricultural growth, especially in soil-degraded areas with low rainfall. Assessing the input has over the years been a source of concerns to smallholder farmers. Apart from the scarcity of the product, high cost of the input is also a challenge to farmers. In December 2016, the federal government of Nigeria and that of Morocco signed an agreement on the production and supply of over 1 million tons of fertilizer. The Minister of Agriculture, Audu Ogbe, says Nigeria is expecting over 700,000 tons before the end of 2017.
The only other thing we want to ensure is that every blender in the country who has capacity, even those whose machines are not in order, we're going to support so they can put their machines in order so the blending takes place almost everywhere in the country so the farmer can have access to his fertilizer at the lowest possible cost.
The minister said efforts are underway to address the ban on the movement of fertilizer in the northeast due to Boko Haram activities. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir David Lawal, has reassured Nigerian youths of federal government's determination to provide employment. The SJF said this while receiving executive members of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, who visited him in Abuja. The SJF urged the association to educate Nigerian youths to take advantage of the ongoing economic diversification drive, whose emphasis is agriculture and solid minerals development. He noted that these two sectors can provide mass employment for the youths. David Babachir also stated that the Buhari administration appreciates youth's role in political development.
Structures that will be able to mobilize the youth for positive change
productive endeavors.
The announced President, Comrade Aruna Kadir, expressed the student body's readiness to partner with the federal government in the areas of conducting free and fair elections, entrepreneurship promotion, and anti-corruption war. NTA Director General Yakubu Ibn Muhammad has tasked heads of finance and chief accountants of the Nigerian Television Authority to uphold the maxim of the accounting profession and work towards increasing internally generated revenue to support the ever-increasing expenditure demand of the organization. The DG gave the charge at a meeting of the authority's heads of finance holding at the NTA headquarters, Abuja. Participants were also intimated on the huge financial demand of the digital switchover, DSO. The Director General praised the participants for ensuring that the NTA is among the only 21 ministries, departments, and agencies of government that were able to fulfill their financial obligations. The meeting, which was convened by the NTA's Executive Director Finance, Philip Ofiobu, had in attendance NTA's accountants from across the country. Let's now join Vera Chiuba in our Lagos Network studio for an update on funds allegedly looted by the former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Desiani Alison Madueke. Over to you, Vera.
To Lagos. The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos today heard how an executive director of First Bank PLC, Daoud Lawal, laundered funds on behalf of former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Desiani Alison Madueke. Justice Muslim Hassan has fixed 16th of February for judgment on the suit. The EFCC had initiated the expertise application seeking an interim order for the temporary forfeiture to the federal government, the sum of 9.8 billion naira. Justice Muslim Hassan had on January 6th issued an interim order of forfeiture of the sum to the federal government following EFCC application. The court had issued 14 days to any interested party to appear and prove the legitimacy of the funds, following which the funds will be permanently forfeited to the federal government. At the resumed hearing of the case, EFCC counsel Rotimi Uyedapo informed the court that in line with its interim order of January 6th, the EFCC had served Lawal, the respondent, and also published same in Independence newspaper of January 12. Counsel to Lawal, Charles Adiogu, confirmed the position, but added that he had filed a counter-affidavit challenging the forfeiture. He argued that before such forfeiture order can be made, two essential elements must be satisfied: that the property in question is unclaimed and that such property or funds form proceeds of unlawful act. He told the court that his client admitted to receiving the sum of $25 million, but was coerced by the commission to further admit receiving a total of $65 million. EFCC counsel Rotimi Uyedapo, who urged the court to make a final forfeiture order of the sum to the federal government, submitted that the tenure of Section 17 of the adversary fraud makes a property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime forfeitable to the federal government. Justice Hassan will deliver judgment on the 16th of February. If you're just joining us, you're watching the NTA Network News, reaching you live from the Lagos Network Center. We have more reports ahead on the news from Abuja when we return after this time out. Stay with us.
Hello? Welcome to the M6 Challenge. Using your new Xiaomi M6, carry out everything on that list. Starting now.
Get to the door. Congratulations, you have passed the test. Xiaomi M6 with a 5,000 milliampere battery that lets you go on for 2 days on a single charge. Xiaomi M6, always in power.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Thank you for remaining with NTA Network News. Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee of OPEC and non-OPEC producers during their first meeting in Vienna, Austria, says 1.5 million barrels per day output cut has already been achieved in the first month of the deal. Details with Vivian Idekpefo on Business News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us on the Business News segment. Oil prices rose Tuesday on evidence that lower production by OPEC and other exporters drains stocks. Brent crude was up by 40 cents at $55.63 per barrel. Ministers from OPEC and big producers outside the group had on Sunday, after the first joint ministerial monitoring committee meeting, revealed that 1.5 million barrels per day had already been cut out of the agreed 1.8 million barrels per day. Iraq's oil minister said that most major oil companies working in its territory were participating in the agreed output reduction deal of OPEC. Potato farmers in Nigeria have called for a deliberate state policy that will harness the potential of the crop to address food security and malnutrition in Africa. In an interview with NTA, some of the farmers noted the promising contribution of the crop to rural economic growth. With the global exports of potato and its products currently valued at over $12 billion annually, they say opportunities should be explored outside the Jos Plateau. Nigeria is ranked 4th in sub-Saharan Africa in potato production. And before I go, here is a quick check on trading figures at the closing session of the Nigerian Stock Exchange this Tuesday. We now return to the rest of the bulletin. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Vivian. Business experts around the world still believe that multinational trade agreement and activities is key to facilitate trade and investment, especially among the developing nations. Guests who are delegates at the World Economic Forum in Davos, while on NTA's program Good Morning Nigeria, say Nigeria, as a member of the World Trade Organization, is leading the African continent in trade facilitation. Saliu Abdullahi monitored the program and now reports.
The guests say Nigeria's commitment towards global economic growth is not in doubt, as she is the 107th country in the world to have signed the trade facilitation agreement. They said the move shows federal government's resolve to enhance economic recovery, infrastructure development, promote small and medium enterprise.
Over the years, Nigeria has been undermarketed. Let's say we've not been showcasing what we have. And in fact, this meeting led to the formation of what could be called a special team on Project Nigeria. That team is made up of the ministers and those in the private sector to showcase the great opportunities that abound in different sectors of Nigeria.
One of the exciting moments for me was when I went to explore the Microsoft's mixed reality center, because most of the technology that is now available, that is world-changing technology, is open sourced, which means that Nigeria has a role to play. Nigeria can actually key into all the technological innovations and actually develop products that can be used worldwide.
Responding to the recent pronouncement by U.S. President Donald Trump on trade isolation, the guest described partnership as key in global business arena.
You cannot exist in isolation. We must not remove that very fact. There must be economic integration. You must maximize your area of comparative advantage against the other party and see what you can offer the world.
Nigeria has value. We need to position ourselves in such a way that people want to exchange the value we have for the things that we want.
The meeting, which brings together some 2,500 top business leaders, international political leaders, economists,
and journalists discuss most pressing issues facing the world, including globalization, international trade and cooperation, as well as digital economy. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
General Electric, a United States multinational company, has proposed to invest in Nigeria's Port Harcourt, Warri, and Kaduna refineries to improve capacity. The company stated this during the presentation to the Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Mekanti Baru, where it emphasized its commitment to rehabilitate the 3 refineries. General Electric Global Chairman Jeff Immelt further said they are also ready to partner the NNPC to develop major national power projects with a potential combined capacity of about 4.4 gigawatts. The NNPC Group Managing Director welcomed General Electric's support to boost the nation's offshore production and raise crude oil reserve ratio replacement. He urged General Electric to also tap into the opportunities on offer in medical supplies as the NNPC moves to commercialize the services of its 52 hospitals and clinics spread across the country. Maintaining a unified platform for security and conflict management agencies to share and develop information is critical to ensuring effective crisis mitigation. This was the consensus among security and information management experts at the 2017 West Africa Conference on Security Communication and Public Information Management. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has the report.
Records from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, shows that the root of most violent conflict and civil strife in the